What's good? It's JB, and in today's video, I'm finna be explaining to you how I had started out making beats. So I've been making beats since I was like 10, and I just turned 19 now. So that's about like 9 to 10 years that I've been making beats. And a lot of times people, they be saying like all the stuff that I accomplished like for my age, and it seemed like it's a lot, but honestly, like I've been doing it for so long, so like it kind of makes sense if you really think about it. Like 10 years, if you do something for 10 years, then you likely to see success from it. But the first time I really had picked up beats was like, I think I was around like 10 or so. And I think I was just like at my dad's house and I was just like bored. And I had downloaded this app on the App Store called like the Beatmaker app. And it was basically just like, just making beats on the phone for real. Like I think I had a tablet at the time, so I basically had started out making beats on my tablet just because I had got bored around like when I was 10. And then it went from like me just making it on like a random beatmaker app to me making it on FL Studio Mobile. And that was more so optimized to, do a little more since it's FL Studio. So after I had got FL Studio Mobile, that's when I really had started to, get better. And I was probably making beats just on my phone or tablet for like a couple years or so. Like it was a minute or so before I had got like my hands on an actual laptop and computer that I could go crazy with. So after some time of like me really just locking in and getting better on FL Studio Mobile, I think like at the time I was actually like making beats like for people in 5th grade. So we'll just like be freestyling, and I actually had a song I had produced and recorded like off of my tablet and stuff at the time. And it's on SoundCloud. I think it's under like Rich Boys or something like that. And it was basically just like me and a couple of friends that I had at the time in like 5th grade. We was just messing around, just made a song, cause at the time I'm making beats on my tablet and on the phone, so it's like really just messing around, just bored, trying something. So yeah, and it really just went from like just something to do when I was bored for real to like just a habit. And then not too long after that, like I would probably say when I was like 12 or 13, I think it was like just a MacBook around. Like I think my brother, he had like an extra MacBook and it was like broken or something like that. Like it was something wrong with it, and I was able to like fix it up because I kind of always been good with like tech for real since I was little. So I always kind of been like the guy that was like good with tech. So it was like some little issue wrong with it, and I was able to fix up the computer. So after I was able to fix it, he didn't really need like this, so I was able to just use the computer like that. So I think it was probably like a 2010 or 2012 MacBook or something like that. That was like my very first laptop that I was able to start cooking up on. So the first DAW that I had started out when I was on my MacBook was actually Logic, because during this time FL Studio wasn't even available. So I think FL Studio, it wasn't even available like for most MacBooks. Like it was only Windows at the time. So it was like way harder to actually get FL Studio on a MacBook at the time. Like you would have to have like Windows boot camp. Like you gotta put Windows software on the MacBook, so you gotta completely run Windows in order to use FL Studio. Like it was nothing like how it is today, where you can just download FL Studio like that. So that's really like something new. So at the time, with me knowing this, I'm like, okay, what I'm finna do, since I'm coming from FL Studio Mobile, so I'm like, oh, what I'm finna do to make beats on the MacBook. So me using my critical thinking, I'm like, okay, what's another DAW I can use? So at the time I found out about Logic Pro X, and the way I was able to find out about this, because Logic, that's like the main DAW for MacBooks. So Logic, this is just what I had to use, and it was like the only thing I could get my hands on at the time, because FL Studio, like I said, it wasn't even really optimized for Macs at the time. So I didn't really have no choice but to, start making beats in Logic. And when I first started out, I made my beats like completely in Logic. Like I didn't even do how I do now, where I make my melodies in Logic and then my drums in FL. Like when I first started out, I didn't have no choice but to just do everything in Logic, because that was the only thing I had. So yeah, so around the time I was around 14 to 15, I'm really just making beats consistently in Logic, and that's like the only DAW for real. And actually, matter of fact, now that I think about it, Logic wasn't even the only DAW I had. Like another DAW I had used at the time was MPC. But the reason I didn't use MPC like that was because you couldn't really use the full version of MPC unless you had the actual machine. So the only way for me to actually use like the full version of MPC and actually be able to save beats, I had to actually like have my people like buy an MPC machine. And that wasn't even really something that I was too big on at the time, and I was just like, nah. So at the time, I did make a couple of beats on MPC too when I first got a MacBook, but I wasn't really able to save them because I only had the demo version. And the only way you can get the full version of MPC, you have to buy a whole MPC. And they probably might have been like, I don't know, like $400 or $500 at the time. And I probably wasn't able to get my hands on it at the time because I was like so young. And then plus it was like me just starting out, so I wasn't even really too concerned about a drum machine either because I was really just at the time like clicking in. So that was just the only dollars that I was able to use. So MPC and Logic. And I was able to get my hands on the full version of Logic at the time. So since I was forced to get used to making beats in Logic Pro X, since that was the only thing I had access to when I first got the MacBook, it really just helped me to really get used to, you know, just doing melodies and stuff in Logic, and I just got used to it for real. And then later on, like the only reason why I had started making my drums in FL was because like my 808s wasn't hitting as hard. And to be honest, it's like the soft clipper in FL Studio, it just do something to like make your drums hit way harder, especially like your 808s. Cause like when I listen to my beats that I made in Logic Pro X, like at the time back then, I'll listen to my beats and then I'll like listen to other people's beats, and then I'll be like, dang, how they 808 hitting so hard? It's like mine like just soft or something like that. Like it ain't hitting how it's supposed to hit. And then like when I used FL, or like I think I was watching somebody FL Studio live cook up, and then I was seeing like how they put on the master the soft clipper, and I just seen the difference that it made. And honestly, that is still true with the soft clipper, but now with the experience that I have, yeah, I probably could make something that still hit just as hard on Logic. But it's just that at the time I was like the 808s was hitting way harder in FL Studio because of the soft clipper. And yeah, you can get a soft clipper in Logic Pro X, but I just kind of like making my drums in FL Studio. I just feel like it's way easier because they got the drum pattern where you can just easily just lay out everything, and it's just way simpler compared to you making a brand new pattern for everything every single time. And I feel like that method is great, but it's great for melodies. It's not great for drums. Like you wouldn't want to be doing drums and you got to do the most if you're just doing a two-step hi-hat pattern and simple claps and perks. Like it's way easier for FL where you just do like, you just hit two-step and then it's done like the whole time. So thing with FL Studio is it's optimized for like 8-bar loops and stuff like that. So you can easily make a loop pattern for the whole drums and just copy it like that. Like even with my beats, for example, when I do lay out my beats, I don't do like the whole tracks and stuff like that. I'll just have my different tracks like all together on one, and then I'll just lay it out. And I'll just switch it up sometimes on each track. Like I might do like one with the 808, and then I'll do one with the drums. So it's like all the drums, but I'll take the kick out on one pattern, and then on the other pattern, I'll bring the kick in. And I'll just have it all together. I don't even separate it, because I just feel like it's just way easier that way. And it's just to each his own, honestly, but it's just my kind of workflow that I kind of like doing when I cook up. And then another thing too that helped me get great at making melodies was that like since the time I was 13 or so like that, I had started out playing piano in church. So since I had started out playing keys in church, I was able to have some type of inspiration when I'm cooking up when it comes to like pain melodies or anything melodic like that, because I was a piano player. So I basically had a lot of more experience compared to most other producers at the time. And I think when I first started out, I was really more so just making beats like just out of fun and just like whenever I felt like it, more so like whenever I had free time, because you know I had school in the day, and then just whenever I was free, you know, just cook up like something to do after school, like make a beat after school. I remember there was something I did most of the time, like in middle school or even elementary, like making beats after school. So now, like with my routine is more so, instead of just when I feel like it, I kind of got a habit of like doing it every day, and I try to make at least one great beat every day, or at least like one like great melody. And with me, I don't just like making anything either. So I actually like taking my time and making something I'm really proud of and I really like and I can appreciate and just repeat. Like one thing I had noticed that I do anytime I make a crazy beat, which is down to like every day. I ain't even gonna lie, I'm not even exaggerating. Like every time I'm driving, I just had it on repeat like all the time. Like honestly, I think I listen to my beats more than I listen to music now. And it's really just because that's how crazy my beats done got. Like I really just be a fan of like the beats that I be making. Like I had them just on repeat down there more than songs that I listen to. So that's kind of my routine for the most part. And then when it come to getting placements, I was around 14 when I got my first song. And then the way I was able to do that was really just Instagram, just networking with people through Instagram. So it was really just over time of me steady just networking and sending loops out, collabing with more people. That was how I was able to really get a name with producing. Like even though I've been doing it for a long time, like the way I was able to really see growth was when I started collabing with other producers and just networking and sending loops out for real. So it literally went from a hobby that I was doing when I was bored for fun, just something on the tablet and the phone, to like a whole career where I'm making a whole lot of money from it. So really just like that. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but yeah, that's basically my story of how I had started out making beats. I went from making beats on my phone to actually making beats for the biggest artists. And also one last thing that I had wanted to touch on was what tutorials that I watched when I first started out to actually get better at making beats. So of course during that time I had came across Busy Work Beats channel, but he didn't really have like the hard sound. Like his videos was more so tailored towards music theory. It wasn't really like beats that really hit too hard for me. So to channels that I had came across at the time where I actually had liked and I really had studied was more so, it was two channels. It was one called Savage Beats and it was another called Bass Gutter. And I think they channels probably not still up, but yeah, those were the main channels that I had watched and I really kind of had studied those. And then of course you had like KBZ. Who else? Yeah, KBZ was definitely a big channel that I had watched at the time to actually get better at making beats. And even though my sound nothing like the beats that they made, it's still just something that I watch like to understand the logics of it and just to get better. So yeah, those are some of the channels that I had watched to actually get better at making beats. And that's it for today's video. If you like this video, then like and subscribe, and let me know what you next in my next video. And one thing I had wanted to work on was providing more value in my videos. So if you want me to drop more videos like this where I'm giving a ton of value and giving my backstory, then let me know in the comments. And also if you want to learn more from me one-on-one, it's gonna be linked to my jbsaucedup mentorship where you can learn more from me one-on-one when it comes to piano lessons, learning more about producing. And also I'm going to start posting like exclusive videos outside of YouTube every single day on it. And I'm out. Stay blessed. JB.